Hi, just as an introduction, we are the partners at Greenwald Weiss Attorneys at Law. My name is Baruch Greenwald. I'm joined by my partners Hillel Weiss and Shimi Meyer. We decided to put together a short video so everyone out there could possibly gain on some level. Our law firm focuses on trusts and estates, estate planning, and we've been hearing and reading that people seem to be a bit concerned about various aspects relating to estate planning with what's going on right now and different areas of panic about health and whether everything that needs to be in place is in place. So we're here really to provide some information that hopefully will calm everyone. And as they say, knowledge is power, and hopefully that will bring some peace of mind. We'll start out, I'll just pose a few questions. Hillel, what would you say people should really be focusing on if there's one or two things that maybe they can get done that really is important right now?
Yeah, hi. So I would say that the healthcare proxy or living will, the halachic living will, is probably the most important document which you want to make sure you have, especially with the situation now that it's hard for family members to get into the hospitals. So you want to make sure that the doctors, the nurses are bound legally to contact your agent to make those very important halachic decisions, medical decisions.
And just as a follow-up to that, Shimi, with regard to having a healthcare proxy, if someone wants to be halachically compliant, how would you say they should go about that? Should they be very clear about, not having a DNR? What should they tell their agents in advance that would make the process a little bit more seamless when dealing with a rabbi, with a rav, and with the medical team?
Well, I think as a general rule, the first thing you're going to do, and that's what we recommend to all our clients, is to have the Aguda form of the halachic living will. It's available for free on a number of websites. One of them is Chaim Aruchim. Anyone can download it, fill it out. It's pretty self-explanatory, and it just needs to be signed and witnessed. You don't need an attorney for it. It is general, the form. It just says that any medical decision needs to be made in accordance with halacha, and that's important because while to my understanding there is some flexibility in halacha, a person cannot go ahead and say, I do want this, I don't want that. So I think the first step is to start with the form and just be clear that your agent is empowered and halacha must be followed. If there are personal preferences, it's important to communicate them with the agent so that when the agent is speaking to the Rav, where there's flexibility in halacha, the Rav can be advised of what person's personal preference is.
Thank you. So just continuing on sort of what are called the lifetime documents. So everyone's heard of a power of attorney, which I'll just briefly introduce as a document by which we just mentioned a healthcare proxy, which is appointing an agent to make medical decisions. A power of attorney is the appointment of an agent to make financial decisions for the principal, for the one who's appointing the agent. Why would this be important, and how would one go about signing it? How complicated would that be, Hillel?
Well, the power of attorney document is important because if a person becomes incapacitated, then there's no way for them to obviously do any financial transaction, and the only other option would be to go to court and do a guardianship proceeding to appoint a guardian to be able to manage their finances. So the power of attorney document is, of course, a much simpler option. And in New York, the way to execute this is the power of attorney form needs to be notarized. Now in New York, notarization can be done remotely by video conferencing. So that's something to be aware of. In New Jersey, it's still not that's still not a law. But that's certainly, very important document to have.
So Shemi, just a question for you. There's the one big misnomer out there is that panic call that we get, I think, is that, oh, I don't have a will, the government's going to take my money. So what would you tell someone who's saying, oh, the government's going to take all my money?
Well, right now I think the government's giving money, right?
Well,
But
they
yes,
need to take it from someone to give it, right?
right. But yeah, it's just I don't know where it comes from. Maybe it comes from the fact there used to be a much more stringent estate tax, but the government is not standing over you, waiting to take money if God forbid something happens to you. There are certain taxes for the very, very wealthy, but other than that, everything stays within the family, and that, the abject fear of, God forbid, of being, I don't know, a home taken away or, being left impoverished, it's just, it shouldn't be there. It's Baba Maisa. It's not real. When at least if we can help people just worry about what's important about them and staying well. If we can just take away that fear, I think this video is worth it.
And just, I think a big thing right now is again, as we mentioned, Hill mentioned before, that power of attorney just has to be notarized. That could be done remotely today in New York. Expecting that to change in New Jersey as well. So Jimmy, how could people go about if they really feel like they do need a will, and they they don't want to rely on the intestacy rules, and they can't get out of their house, or they're sort of on some level limited in their ability to move about? How would they go about that with what's going on right now?
So I think thank God we've been able to notarize remotely. And if somebody is concerned and would like to have their documents in order, and there are, people that are calling and would like to just know that everything is the way it should be in case, God forbid, we have the ability to notarize remotely in New York. And there are safe ways, to get witnesses if needed. They don't need to be in the house. They can stand outside the door. I'm working with somebody now who has neighbors that are willing to, witness. Again, they don't have to come in the house. You leave the door open. There are safe ways to do it if somebody would like to have it done. And, we're able to help.
Just one more practical item as well, and I think, which is very important, is just for people to have their information in a central place, whether it's on a piece of paper or in a file, that their family should know what their assets are, maybe what their usernames and passwords are for certain things. All of that could be very important. Just in closing,
just add burial plot information where you have where you want to be buried, information about that should be kept in a conspicuous place where your important documents are kept.
So exactly, and the main goal is, right now, like we've been seeing, from many of our clients, people right now focusing on staying well, making sure their loved ones are well, and preparing for Pesach in many cases. So this is not on their minds, but we do see it's on their mind, and we're hoping that if you're reviewing this, that this is helpful and has given you some additional information. Hopefully it's been calming and soothing. But if you do have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out to any one of us, and we'd be glad to assist and help you with any additional information that you might need. And we wish you all good health, and anyone who needs a refuah, anyone who needs a recovery should have that, and everyone should have a terrific Yom Tov of Pesach.